So next we move on to the administrative theory. It's also called Fayol's 14 principle. Today's managers have access to an amazing array of resources which they can use to improve their skills. But what about those managers who are leading the way forward 100 years ago? Managers in the early 19th century had a very few external resources to draw upon to guide and develop their management practice. But thanks to early theorists like Henry Fayol, so he emphasize on managers began to get the tools they needed to lead and manage more effectively. Fayol and others like him are responsible for building the foundations of modern management theory. So he created list of six primary functions of management which go hand in hand with the principles. Fayol's 14 principles was one of the earliest theories of management to be created and remains one of the most comprehensive. He is considered to be among the most influential contributors to the modern concept of management. Even though people don't refer to the principles often today, the theory falls under the administrative management school of thought. It was given like 14 main concepts, that is division of work. When employees are specialized, output can increase because they become increasingly skilled and efficient. So Fayol's in his first concept he emphasized about division of work, as we got we saw in Weber's theory. Next, authority. Managers must have the authority to give orders, but they must also keep in mind that with authority comes responsibility. Next, discipline. Discipline must be upheld in organization, but methods for doing so can vary. Fourth one is unity of command. Employees should have only one direct supervisors. Next, unity of direction. Teams with the same objective should be working under the direction of one manager using one plan. This will ensure that action is properly coordinated. Sixth one is subordination of individual interest to the general interest. The interest of one employee should not be allowed to become more important than those of the group. This includes managers and leaders. Seventh one is remuneration. Employee satisfaction depends on their remuneral for everyone. This includes financial and non-financial compensation. So eighth one is centralization. This principle refers to how close employees are the decision making process. It is important to aim for an appropriate balance. Ninth one is scalar chain. Employees should be aware of where they stand in the organization hierarchy or chain of command. So it tells about structures of the organization. Next, order. The workplace facilities must be clean, tidy, and safe for employees. Everything should have its own place. 11th one is equity. Managers should be fair to staff at all times, both maintaining discipline as necessary and acting with kindness where appropriate. 12th one is stability of tenure of personnel. Managers should strive to minimize employee turnover. Personal planning should be a priority. And 13th one is initiative. Employees should be given the necessary level of freedom to create and carry out plans. E-Spirit D Corps is a final one. Organization should strive to promote team spirit and unity. So it tells about harmonious and relationship among team members or organization members. So these are the concepts of Fayol's principle. It carries some negativity and some kind of criticism. So it is considered as too formal. Fayol's theory is said to be very formal, however, in any scientific and analytical study, facts and observations have to be presented in formal manner, and it also called vague. Some of the concepts have not been properly defined. For example, principles of division of work does not tell how the task should be divided. Again, to say that an organization needs coordination is merely to state the obvious. In other words, the it was given by this criticism was given by Herbert Simon. He superficially oversimplification and the lack of realism is there in concepts which he laid down for scalar chain. And inconsistency, principles of administrative theory were based on personal experience and limited observations. There is no much generalizations and lack empirical evidence. They have not been verified under controlled scientific conditions. Some of them are contradictory. For example, the unity of command principle is incompatible with the divisions of work. The theory does not provide guidance as to which principle should be given precedence over the other. Next is a pro-management bias. Administrative theory does not pay adequate attention to workers. Workers are treated as biological machines or inert instruments to the work process. Next is a historical value. Fayol's theory was relevant when an organization operated in a stable and predictable environment. It seems less appropriate in the turbulent environment of today. For example, present day of managers cannot depend entirely on formal authority and must use persuasion to get the work done. Similarly, the theory views organization as per centers and do not recognize the role of democratic form of organization. So these are the criticism of Fayol's principle. So next we are moving to neoclassical theory. In neoclassical theory is the extended version of the classical theory wherein behavioral science gets included into management. According to this theory, the organization is a social system and performance does get affected by human actions. So we have so many concepts under neoclassical. There is Mary Parker Follett, Elton May theory, Abraham Maslow's theory, McGregor's X and Y theory. So I hope some of the concepts you must be knowing that. So we'll see one by one. Mary Parker Follett, the mother of modern management, believed that management was the art of getting things done through people. Though she never managed a for-profit enterprise, she offered valuable insight on the importance of powering with rather than powering over and integrating with employees to solve conflicts. Leadership is not defined by the exercise of power, but by the capacity to increase the sense of power among those led. Follett once said the most essential work of the leader is to create more leaders. Follett practiced these principles of coordination that helped develop her theory of management. That is, leadership is not defined by the exercise of power but the capacity to increase the sense of power among those who led. It has some of the 6 concepts. First one is direct contact. Direct contact between employees and managers helps organization avoid conflict and misunderstanding. Holding regular meetings or discussing assignments in person is a simple way to practice this principle. Early stages of coordination. It should be practiced and mastered straight away. No employee should feel less important than the next. Each has a significant role that complements the roles of others. Next, reciprocal relationship. Every worker, regardless of their level in hierarchy, is responsible for pulling their weight and interacting with the rest of the organization. No one person should be trained less or more than the other. Is a team effort. So continuous process coordination must be maintained. Don't just learn it and forget about it. Channel it in everything the manager do. So known well for her mediating tendencies and managing tactics, Follett created a management theory that is in still a favor today. Its main principle include integration. So in all levels they integrate to reach the organization goals if conflict arises. There should be a conscious effort to pull instead of push and to work together as a team because each member is doing their part. Overall, they'll be more likely to be concerned with result. Power with rather than establishing a strict hierarchy and delegating power to certain individuals over others, Follett believed that workers should practice co-active power. Powering with their team is better than powering over them. In this way, each member feels just as valued as the next. Next, group power should be valued over personal power. Organizations do not exist for one person's benefit, but rather the entire company of workers. If this selfless mindset prevails, then all workers will feel like they are on the same team rather than competition with each other. So these are the main features of Mary Parker Follett theory. And next we are moving to Elton Mayo theory. So it was explained by Hawthorne experiment. It's a well-known concept to everyone. You must have studied in your principles of management. This concept was given by Elton Mayo and Ruth Lisberger in Western Electric Company, Chicago. It has four major phases of Hawthorne experiment. That is elimination experiment, relay assembly test room, mass interviewing room, bank wiring experiment, and observation. So we'll see one by one. First one is elimination experiment were undertaken to find out how varying levels of illumination, amount of light at the workplace. It talks about physical factor affected the productivity. The hypothesis was that higher illumination or productivity will increase. In the first series of experiment, a group of workers was chosen and placed in two different groups. One group was exposed to varying intensity of illumination. Since this group was subjected to experimental changes, it was termed as experimental group. Another group called control group continued to work under constant intensities of illumination. The researchers found that as they increased the illumination in the experimental group, both groups increased production. When the intensity of illumination decreased, the production continued to decrease in both groups. The production in the experimental group decreased only when the illumination was decreased to level of moonlight. The decrease was due to light failing much below the normal level. Thus, it was concluded that elimination did not have any effect on productivity, but something else was interfering with the productivity. At the time, it was concluded that human factor was important in determining productivity, but which aspect was affecting it was not sure. So therefore, another phase of experiment was undertaken. Second one is relay assembly test room. It was designed to determine the effect of changes in various job nature, and this was establishing the relationship between intensity of uh, illumination and production. For this purpose, the researchers set up the relay assembly test room. It was tested among women employee. These women were asked to choose more co-workers. The work related to assembly of telephone relays. Each assembly relay consisted of number of parts which girls assembled into finished product. They were given freedom, and they have been given responsibility, work autonomy, and incentive. So this has a major impact on their productivity. Next, mass interviewing room. This based on their attitude and beliefs towards organization policy and procedure. Next, it is initially these interviews were conducted by means of direct questioning, such as do you like your supervisor, or do you like your job, or do you think that the job you are doing is challenging? So it's more of a direct questioning. And the final one is bank wiring experiment. These experiments were conducted to find out the impact of small groups on the individuals. In this experiment, a group of 14 male workers were formed into small work group. The men were engaged in the assembly of terminal banks for the use in telephone exchanges. So this other experiment clearly showed that man at work is motivated by more than the satisfaction of economic needs. Management should